Hey guys, and welcome to episode 3 of All the Way with TJ. Today I want to talk about this insane tweet that AOC put out about the camps on the border, the detention centers, being the same as concentration camps. So sit back, buckle up, and let's get to this thing. Okay, so first thing I want to say about this is it really disturbs me that we have a sitting congressperson who would be willing to get out there and say this, even though it's the most insane and asinine thing I can think of. Number one being that the Jews that were in the concentration camps were legal citizens of Germany. Like, most of them were actually born there and were German-speaking citizens who happen to be either ethnically or Orthodox Jewish. They were rounded up most of the time in the middle of the night, shoved on a train, and shipped to these camps, which was abhorrent, and that is in no way, shape, or form what is going on at our southern border right now. Trump is not going to these other countries and rounding people up and putting them in these camps at the border. They are willing to be there while they seek asylum, and they are deciding to wait in those camps for their asylum to be processed and for them to have a date in court. Another thing that makes it utter bullshit is just the mere fact that you don't get asylum in this country just because you ask for it. You have to go through a legal proceeding, and it requires you to wait. So on the one hand, you have Democrats saying that maybe we should just catch and release. Catch them as they come across, they're seeking asylum, and while they're waiting, they can be released into the general public. Well, the problem with that is even conservative estimates show that 80% of them don't show up for their court hearings. The non-conservative outlook is that actually 90% of them don't show up for their hearings. So it doesn't seem like such a bright idea to just release them into the general public when they're not going to show up. Another thing she's been doing is something that was kind of equivalent to her Green New Deal when she's like, well, the world's going to end in 12 years, we have to do something. And then, rightly so, the pushback was, well, no, it's not going to end in 12 years, you're stupid. So then she comes back out with, well, I didn't mean literally it was going to end in 12 years. Well, now she's saying that she's not trying to draw a false equivalency to what concentration camps were in Nazi Germany to what she's saying they are down on the border. She's just saying definitionally they're the same. It is a concentration camp. And I think it's so stupid to argue over the definition of it, because when you actually look it up, it is not the definition of what a concentration camp is. And yet she can keep pushing that because there won't be a significant pushback against her over it, especially not within her own party or within the media. And that's a dangerous place to be in when your own party and the media just agrees with you and says, no, you're right. That's the correct terminology. That's the correct definition if you want to use that. But then it got a little worse. There was a tweet, and I don't remember the name. I'll put it up on the screen. Guy saying he literally can't wait for gas chambers to be in place again so that conservatives can complain and say, well, it's not really gas chambers because we're using a different kind of gas. And I think that's just, what level of idiocy do you have to be at to tweet something out like that? Like, you really think that's going to happen? And you would really encourage that? that's on par with, well, no, that's worse than what Bill Maher said when he said he wished that there was a financial collapse. I mean, to say that you want something like that to be in place just so you can somehow have a political victory, like, that makes no sense to me. If that's the case, I don't understand what kind of world we're living in where these crazy far leftists say things like that and people really believe it. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So then a logical question might be, why would she say something like that? And I think there might be two answers here. I think number one, she actually does believe that. And I don't say that with a grain of salt. I mean, I really think she, for better or worse, she believes that. And I would say for the worst, because that is just not even a line you want to draw equivalency through. And that's not opinion. That's, to equate those two is just, for a lack of a better word, it's evil, in my personal opinion. But then there's a second thing to be said about it too. She is actively right now going to be primaried for the 2020 elections. So she's trying to draw a distinction here that doesn't exist by saying, oh look, this is the exact same as concentration camps in Nazi Germany, and we can't settle for that in this country. Never again, were her words. So she's trying to draw this line where if you vote for conservatives, you are now an evil Nazi. And what do you do with evil Nazis? Well, you can punch them in the face, or maybe if you take it to an extreme level that we haven't seen with Antifa yet, but maybe you wind up killing them. That's a high possibility. I would hate to see them try to get to that, because that's not a world that I want to live in. But it would only make sense that you use any necessary force to fight that off. And I think she knows it when she says that. And I'm not usually a person that says, oh, going to cause damage. But in this instance, it's highly probable that if it's not dealt with in one way, shape, or form, most likely with pushback from both parties, that it could cause damage. I won't say irreparable damage, but it could cause damage in the short term, because people believe what she's saying without any evidence, without looking into it for themselves. They just believe what she's saying. And it's bad. It's extremely bad. Especially when media people like Chris Cuomo defend her for saying that. So, I don't know. Maybe it won't get that far. Maybe we can pull it back a little bit, and hopefully the necessary pushback will be enough. But we'll have to see. Alright, thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.